guys, and welcome back to my channel. I am S Shady H, and I am going to make another ASMR video, and I'm going to be actually kind of trying to make something nice to listen to, whether, you're just bored and maybe you like the sound of my voice and you want to hear me read some stuff, or, tinkle, sleep, whatever it may be. I'm going to try to provide something kind of silly, but, try something for fun. Maybe somebody will like it. Alright. So, my plan is I've got a couple of pages pulled up. I got a list of interesting, fun facts that I can read off from, yes, AI Perplexity. But I've also got some Reddit stories pulled up. So I think I'm going to start it with this. The story is from r/am I the asshole? Am I the asshole for asking my sister-in-law what she's doing with her degree after she implied my university was not prestigious enough? Prestigious enough. Am I the asshole for asking my sister-in-law what is she doing with her degree after she implied my university wasn't prestigious enough? Okay. I need to adjust and make this. Last night, my husband, our 2-year-old daughter, and I were at my in-laws. My sister-in-law and her husband and kids were there too. The topic of one of their cousin's kids going to university came up. We talked about how going to a good university helps in networking. I mentioned how I had gotten my first business analyst job because my interviewer had also gone to University of maybe Texas. At this point, my son-in-law chimed in with, "Oh, University of Mississauga. Maybe, I think that's a place in Tennessee, right? So not the actual one." My husband said politely that that is the same thing, and she just shrugged. I asked her where she went. She said she went to the University of Tennessee and added, St. George campus. I then asked how she's using her degree. I knew see, this is one thing I will say I fucking hate about Reddit. They are addicted to acronyms. Like, how are you supposed to know what all these fucking acronyms mean? Sorry. Oh, wait, based on context clues? Okay. Then I asked how she's using her degree. I knew she was a SAHM, stay-at-home mom. So that's why I'm here. That may have been an asshole thing to say. She said she chose to be a stay-at-home mom and kind of stopped talking to me. Okay, am I retarded? I'm sorry. Am I stupid? Because I am not following. My husband thinks I was out of line. Admittedly, I didn't think it through when I said it. Just said what came to my mind. He says her question was tactless, but not malicious. I said it was rude and that's what mattered. And the premise of it was just wrong, but I had been reconsidering it. She has texted him about how out of line I was. He's told her it was a misunderstanding asshole, she said something. She had something to say about the campus. About the campus you went to and was 100% being rude because she felt like hers was better. And your question was valid, so what is she going to do with her degree? She sounds like one of those people who like to talk about everyone against. Yeah, this is fucking stupid. I found this one thread from 12 years ago. 12 years ago. Ago. From Ask Reddit. 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 What is your best story that is 100% real but nobody believes you? Hit me with your best shot. Can I search the, or sort? When I was in elementary school, my brother and I were walking home from school after it had rained all day. He started reaching his hands in all the puddles. I asked him what he was doing. He said sometimes there's money in these. 3 or 4 puddles later, he pulled out a $20 bill. I'm not sure if he yanked it from somewhere else or planted it. Or it was legit. Either way, now I check puddles for treasures when there are no witnesses. That's a pretty funny story. When I was 15 years old, I was in my kitchen, home alone, cutting a pineapple. There was a fly that was buzzing around my face for the past 2 minutes, and it was getting really fucking annoying. So, just for the hell of it, out of pure blind rage, I grabbed my knife and swung it at the fly in midair. I sliced the fly in half. Sliced it in fucking half. After I did that, I immediately realized nobody would ever believe me. Oh my god, I'm so sorry. It reminds me of the Karate Kid, you know, the scene where the sensei comes up with his chopsticks and grabs the fly with the chopsticks. Somebody replied, "How good are you with a sword? See that fly? Swish with sword." The fly is still... I don't know, people on Reddit are weird, sorry. Here's another one of the most upvoted replies. On the way to visit a friend, my husband and I got stuck on the highway in Pennsylvania. By some weird chance, my husband's friend drives us past us in the opposite direction. We see him and turn around to catch up to him. Finally pulling over, we're standing on the side of the road, a 2-lane highway, discussing the directions to the friend's house. Surrounding us are farms with corn and other various crops. Out of nowhere, a duck appears on the opposite side of the road. He is looking at us curiously. Okay, this one looks slightly interesting. If you guys don't know, Wikipedia vandalations is basically when trolls just try to like ruin a Wikipedia page because they hate the person that or event or whatever it is, or they're just being trolls. With that being said, about 7 or 8 years ago, keep in mind this was posted in 12 years ago, so that would have been like 19 or 20 years ago from today. So, like 2005, 2006 maybe. I was really into humorous wiki vandalations and thought it would be funny to claim that the kiwi fruit, or once called hairy bush fruit. I modified the page on kiwi fruit to say so. I cut and pasted some random Chinese characters from somewhere else in the article and put this in. Hairy bush fruit, Mao, Mu, Go, and then some like Chinese characters. I don't know how to pronounce it. Since then, it has been repeated all over the place and currently returns 61,000 hits on Google. Yeah, you can tell this is an old person. It has been printed in The Guardian, which they hyperlinked, which means it is now a 100% verifiable fact and will quite likely never be removed from the offending article. It is kind of a scary implication. The Guardian journalist that wrote the article should have noted that Wikipedia was used as a reference, but didn't. There could have quite easily been other circular references like this, where a journal expects something incorrect lifted from Wikipedia and publishes it, which then means the incorrect fact can be referenced in the press. Yes, I agree, and that's another reason why AI being so heavily trained on like Reddit is kind of a worrying fact to know about, especially because people love to make shit up on Reddit. But yeah, there's a Guardian article from 2010. This is such a short article. It's like 2 paragraphs, so I'm just gonna read it. In praise of the gooseberry editorial, it doesn't even say who the author is. There appears to be no good reason for the relative neglect of the fruit. Maybe it is true that familiarity breeds contempt, but there appears to be no good reason for the negative neglect of the gooseberry. Search for them high and low on the fruit stalls, and the stock answer you get is that there are scant demand for them. True, it is a short cropping season, and they are hard work to appreciate raw, with the tartness, the spines, the topping, and the tailing. But similar amounts of cooking and sugar or honey have gone on to rhubarb or quiche, and there is no shortage of either fruit. Get to the other end of the process and the rewards of the fruit are simple. It makes one of the best jams in the world. It slides effortlessly into crumbles, jellies, pies, summer puddings, ice cream, and chutneys. A gooseberry fool sweetened with elderflower cordial is a native to the cuisine of the land as fish and chips. Maybe it's the name that puts everyone off. Why New Zealanders were hard put to name the seed of a fruit which has variously been called in China a macaque beech, bear, pear, a woodberry, or, with more frankness, a hairy bush fruit. They call it the Chinese gooseberry. So are they talking about a kiwi with this whole thing? Okay, anyway. It was only when the fruit was named, with no hint of chauvinism, of course, after the country's national symbol, that the kiwi fruit took off. With names like Wyndham's Industry or Howard's Lever. For the dark red-skinned desert gooseberry, or careless for the culinary variety. Gooseberries have been a part of the landscape for as long as anyone can remember. It is time we rediscovered it. Yeah, and they're... Hold on. Well, they're like begging for money. And then it looks like that's it. Well, I mean, it's an opinion article, so that's probably where they get off the hook. It's just my opinion. Someone said just check the Wikipedia page for kiwi fruit. The jig is up. It seems like any reference in Wikipedia to hairy bush fruit has been eliminated. I'm going to read a couple more responses from the Ask Reddit thread, and then I'm going to move to 2-sentence horror stories. Yes, I know. Hopefully I can find some creepy stuff and some funny stuff, and then I'm going to end with the fun facts. So I hope you enjoy the rest of the video. So how this person ended up with their dog. I was on my way to the bus when I saw this dog calmly walking about. He approached me, I petted him a bit, and went on my way. For some reason, he kept following me. There were other people around us, but he kept walking behind me. The bus station is by a busy side street. I hoped to shake him off by the time I got there, but no. I wasn't sure what would happen if I got on the bus. Would he run after it? Would he hop up on the bus? The stop I intended to hop off on is another heavily trafficked place. Neither of the options looked good, so the only thing I could think of, I headed home. So I did the only thing I could think of. On the way, I called my dad and told him a dog was following me. He laughed, thinking it was my way of trying to skip school. He went along with it, though, promising to drive us to a nearby dog shelter. Imagine my surprise when I come home with the dog. His surprise. So we drive to the dog shelter, where we have to turn him in. A week or so later, we get a call saying that no one had claimed the dog or reported him missing. My dad wanted a dog, different breed, though. But after seeing that this fellow had followed me around, he figured, well, this is the dog. And that, kids, is how I met my dog. This is him. I'll pull up a picture. Very pretty dog. Very pretty dog. I was in Sao Paulo, Brazil, on a work trip. The night before departure, I wanted a drink in the lounge of the hotel, but the lounge of the hotel was closed for a private party. I didn't want to go out of the building alone at the time, so I started talking to one of the private guards. I wonder if this is a man or a woman. When this lady came closer and asked if there are problems, I explained to her that I was hoping to get a drink, but didn't want to bother. She started talking in very good English. I can speak enough Portuguese to get by, but I'm definitely not fluent. and explained to me that it was a party after a wedding. She was older than me, probably late 40s, but very good looking. Oops. She asked me if I wanted to join her upstairs for a drink. She brought me to her room, and we spent 30 minutes banging on every possible surface until she told me she had to go back to the lounge. I asked her why was the hurry, and she told me that she was the mother of the bride. Okay, yeah, so I guess, this was a guy. Redditors always love talking about their sex adventures. I was once walking and listening to music when I found a $20 bill on the ground. The song that was playing was Money for Nothing. That's pretty funny. That's why I don't understand there are no such thing as coincidence people. I'm not even going to get into that. Well, no, I am. Because time, like, humans have existed for so long. It would be more surprising if a lot of these coincidences that happen to people, I think it would be more surprising if they didn't happen. It's sort of like the thought experiment of having like 100 monkeys in a room smacking on typewriters for infinite time. They'll eventually write every single written word to ever exist. It's like the same concept to me. Alright, here's the last one for now. No one ever believes me. I was 8 years old and my babysitter was 16. My parents worked extremely late overnight, so she often slept over. One night she decided to sleep in my bed. I asked her to show me her boobs, and she did, and told me I could touch them. She was also wearing only a thong. It's probably borderline sexual assault or something, but I didn't care. I was the only 8-year-old that had asked to see tits and received. I looked her up on Facebook recently, and she is a beast. Oh my god. That is disturbing. I did not proofread that one, but a condom fell from the sky and hit my windscreen. Only me and my friend were in the car at the time. Also, the condom was used. Okay. We're going to skip the 2-sentence horror stories, and we're going to end this video off with a couple of fun facts. How about that? Does that sound good? Some fun facts. Sorry, I'm not trying to whisper too quietly. I don't know what sounds better to people. If I try to speak a little bit louder, or if the softest whisper possible sounds better. I'm not sure. I asked Perplexity instead of ChatGPT or Google Gemini, etc., because they always draw from like specific articles and stuff, and they'll always cite their sources. So I have a lot more faith that their results are going to be accurate. With that being said, let's begin. People used to say prunes, instead of cheese when getting their pictures taken, because a cheesy grin was seen as childish in the 1840s. Blue whale tongues can weigh just as much as an elephant, and their hearts beat only once every 10 seconds. Oh my god, I'm so sorry. I've actually heard the one about their heartbeat, but I've never thought about how heavy their tongue might be. Queen Elizabeth II had a stand-in to make sure that the sun wouldn't get in her eyes during public events. I feel like I need a little bit more context on that one. There is an ant species unique to New York City called Manhattans. I actually kind of want to Google. Oh, that's interesting. You can do it. Manhattans is the nickname for the Central European bicolored ant as an invasive species first discovered in New York City in 2011. And has since become very common in the city. These ants are known for their dark brown heads and abdomens with reddish-orange thoraxes. And they have been successfully adapted to urban environments, thriving on smooth surfaces like sidewalks and feeding on honeydew from pests on city trees. It's very interesting. The Eiffel Tower was originally intended for Barcelona, but the city rejected it for being too ugly. Yes, I have heard that when the Eiffel Tower was first built in Paris, it was very unpopular among the locals. How about I Google that for a fact check? Yeah, it says no, it was not popular. It was initially met with strong criticism and disdain from many Paris artists and intellectuals who called it an ugly skeleton. However, it became an immediate success with the public who visited the 1889 World's Fair in large numbers. And its value as a radio tower later helped to gain acceptance and became the iconic symbol that it is today. Alright, where were we? Coconuts are actually fruits classified as drupes. Fruits with inner flesh and a seed surrounded by a hard shell. So I wonder if that means that durian is a drupe, spelled D-R-U-P-E-S, by the way. 90% of the world's population lives in the northern hemisphere. Yeah, I think that's why people are obsessed with talking about the global south, like leftists, I mean. Also, since we're late in the video now and most people probably aren't listening anymore, check this out. The sound concerns me. That's some crazy stuff. Japan has one vending machine for every 40 people. The shortest war in history, the Anglo-Zanzibar War, lasted only 30 minutes. Yeah, everyone knows that one. Mirrors facing each other do not create infinite reflections, but rather a complex pattern of reflections. Well, yeah, because the more and more something gets reflected, it's almost like whenever a photo on the internet gets posted, screenshot, and it degrades over time. If you've ever stood in a room with a mirror on one wall and a mirror on the opposite side, the farther and farther along, it gets more and more distorted looking and green, which I find interesting. Potatoes were the first food grown in space. Rats have the ability to laugh when tickled. Penguins propose to each other by giving pebbles to their mates. Yes, I've heard this one. Your nose and ears never stop growing throughout your life. I've heard that one. Same with birds being descendants of dinosaurs. People can walk enough distance in their lifetime to circle the globe 3 times. I don't know, but I've heard this one. Honey has an indefinite shelf life. Indefinite shelf life. So, if you got some honey in that cute little plastic bear bottle, and you can bust it out and it'll be just fine. A silverback gorilla can lift more than 1,763 pounds. Salvador Dali designed the logo for the Chupa Chups lollipop. Chupa Chups lollipop. Chupa Chups lollipop. Let's Google that and see what that is. A Spanish brand of confectionery found in over 150 countries. The brand was founded in 1958 by Enrique Bernat. I don't think I recognize these. Anyways, that's going to be it for this video. Thank you so much if you actually stuck around to the end. That's crazy. I really don't think my voice is all that great. Also, I don't think this pop filter is very good for doing tapping ASMR. So that's why this was just a soft spoken word video. But that'll be all. And thank you so much. And if you're hearing this, have a great